Let's open our season's highlights as the Arkansas Razorbacks play host to the TCU Horned Frogs. It's Dad's Day at Fayetteville. The crowd gets our first quarter look at a favorite son, Lamar McCann, as he passes to Carpenter for 8 yards. Still early in the first quarter, and the man McCann runs this time. Watch his fullback, Hank Moore, take out the TCU end. This clears the Arkansas tailback to the straightaway. There's a tailwind downfield until a diving froggy by the name of Fraley stirs up a storm. 55 yards for a first down and goal to go from the 7-yard line. The Razorbacks hammer at the inside. The fourth down try by Moore is good. The kick is blocked, and Arkansas leads 6-0. In the second quarter, the Froggies show off their newly installed T formation with a handoff from Mal Fowler to Marshall Robinson for 12 yards. But a fumble tails it off, and who recovers for Arkansas on his own 33-yard line? You're right, Lamar McCann. This McCann's a jack of all trades. Watch him feint and cut inside for a 16-yard pickup and a first down about midfield. And here's some more Ozark sleight of hand with again the key to it, McCann. A pass that's complete to Thomason for 27 yards and a first down on the TCU 30-yard line. This was one of McCann's finer games of his college career. He had a good day with his passes, one of which was this shot to Floyd Sagely, who made a fine catch to put the Razorbacks ahead with a halftime score of 13-0. Now in the last quarter, the Froggies come to life with a bang. Ray McCowan's pass to Robinson gets 7, and this kind of yardage does not come easy. McCowan still up front on the TCU man under spot. He moves back for a pass, and watch it. This one's close to little Marshall Robinson, but he's got it, and it's good for a touchdown. Arkansas still ahead, 13-6. The Frogs recover their own kickoff and move in a hurry as McCowan fights clear long enough to fire a pass to Ronald Clinkscale. The Froggy Speed King breaks away, but a penalty wipes out most of that gain, and the Razorbacks take a Dad's Day victory, 13-6. SMU and Rice, and here is one to remember. This was a stubborn defensive battle that saw both teams score a touchdown on a recovered ball. And then one explosive blast blew this ball game wide open in the last 3 minutes. Here the Ponies move as they've just recovered an owl fumble. First call goes to Frank Idem. The smooth and elusive boy runs the ball down to the Rice 8-yard line. And now with both Idem and Norton in the game, the Ponies pulled a lot of rabbits out of a lot of hats with plays like this to set up Jerry Norton for a pass that finds the waiting arms of Ed Burnett. The Mustangs are knocking at the door for their first touchdown on Rice's 1-yard line. Well, the Pony line proved it could move out on offense as well as move in on defense. And here's the touchdown strategy you saw time and again as Dwayne Nutt, the Pony quarterback, played it cozy for a touchdown to put the Ponies out in front. But the Owl said, "Okay, Ponies, you recover our fumble to score. We'll just recover one of your fumbles and return that compliment." So the Owls grab a miscue on the SMU 26, and here comes Rice. The Owls completed just 3 passes all night against SMU, but this was one of them. Ashley Proctor to Dan Hart to set up the ball on the SMU 11. 2 more plays got 4 yards, and now meet the man who in games to come proved the big gun in the Owls' drive to the championship. It's Posse Johnson for a touchdown. Extra point gave Rice a 7-6 lead that stood up until late in the game. Then like a bolt from the blue, the Ponies struck and turned out the lights for the Owls. Just 3 minutes to play. Ponies had the ball on downs on their own 2. Norton moved out to the 5, and here it comes. Frank Idem turns in one of the great runs of 1953. A tremendous burst through the line, into the clear about midfield, a frantic foot race toward the sidelines, and finally, the arrest and a ticket for speeding by Officer Marshall Crawford of Rice, who caught Idem on Rice's 4-yard line. But the tide had turned in those 10 seconds on the sparkling heels of Frank Idem. 3 plays later, Dwayne Nutt slips around the side for a touchdown. The Ponies had a sudden and spectacular 12-7 victory over the Rice Owls. October 10th and the second week in conference play finds the Baylor Bears and the Arkansas Razorbacks in Baylor Stadium at Waco. And here's lots of football action as the 32nd game in this series is underway. In the second quarter, the Bears go aloft. Davidson's a very tricky fella, but don't be fooled. It's a pass to XLM yet, complete for 16 and a first down on the Arkansas 39. The Bears like that air game, so set it up for a short toss to the flat. But Floyd Sagely of Arkansas has another idea. The big Razorback end intercepts. With a lot of help from teammates, he's back for 31 yards. It's now Arkansas first down on Baylor's 34-yard line. Here's that man again. Let's step down to the field and watch Lamar McCann take a pass to Jerry Bogard. Good for 18 yards and a score. Arkansas leads in this ball game 7-0. In the third quarter, Cotton Davidson still plays hide and seek with the pig hide, and this time he hands it off. Allen Jones has it on a quick smack through the middle. Looks like he may go the route, but look, Charlie Hallam is in for the tackle and has him at the 4-yard line. It's a 39-yard scamper for one of the Jones boys named Allen. 2 tries tee it up. Jerry Cootie rams for the final 2. The Bears rack up their first tally. It's tied up 7-7. Highlighting the fourth quarter, the Bears still bang away with that optional stuff. Here's a pitch out. Davidson to Jones plus some nice running for 6 yards. Finally out of bounds on the Arkansas 35-yard line. Another series of power dives goes to the Razorback 17, and how'd you like to be a traffic cop caught in this jam with L.G. Dupree? But it's a first down on the Hog 6-yard line. And now for the Baylor payoff. Davidson flings this one right into the waiting arms of Wayne Hopkins. It's a beauty as he finally gets it away, and Baylor wins 14-7. Now let's go along to a mid-October afternoon in Fort Worth. The Texas Aggies roll in TCU's end of the field as Kettler goes for 7 yards and a first down on the Frogs' 19-yard line. Don Ellis is the man under, and he's the boy to watch. Remember those runs that sometimes took the long way home? Well, here's one of them as Don makes a long trip pay off. And it's a lot longer than those 18 yards to pay dirt on the straightaway. Kettler's point after touchdown gives the Aggies a 7-0 lead early in the second quarter. Later in the same period, the Aggies choose one of the wide variety of T-formation plays to score again. Here's that delayed handoff to the fullback for a power punch at the middle. Don Kostick is the man who makes like a bulldozer, 43 yards to deliver the mail and set up a 14-0 lead for the Aggies. After halftime, the Frogs go to the air to get back in the ball game. Mal Fowler flings one to Dave Finney, good for 25 yards before the Aggie secondaries finally run him out of bounds. It's a first down for TCU on the Aggie 7. Here's our favorite Froggy mix-em-up. Fowler pitches to Ronnie Clinkscale, and Ronnie can pass too. It's complete to Finney again, just 1 yard shy of the goal line. And now for the fourth down try by those Froggies, just 1 yard out. Morrow it is who bangs at the middle, but the Aggies rise up and toss him back. No score as the Aggies take over. In the fourth quarter, the Froggies still look for that scoring punch, and they find it in the passing magic of Ray McCowan. A bullseye to Sanford for a touchdown. 14-7 with the Cadets still out in front. So the Frogs go to the air again. McCowan fires, but this one backfires, and it hurts aplenty. Benny Sinclair moves in to grab the ball for the Aggies, and he runs it back for 25 yards. That tees it up for the Cadets once again. The Aggies make hay in a hurry. This time it's Don Ellis through the middle for the tally. Final score, Aggies 20, TCU 7. Now come to Memorial Stadium at Austin for the big one of 53, the Texas Longhorns and the Rice Owls in the most recent chapter of that stirring book entitled Why Football Fans Get Gray. This was a wild one. Texas has moved from the Owl 10 as Robinson takes the handoff for a 7-yard pickup to the 3-yard line. And here's the score as Robinson straight ahead for a touchdown. Point missed, 6-0 for the Longhorns. 27 seconds to go in the first half. Leroy Fenster make a pitches for Rice, and it's complete to Marshall Crawford, but it doesn't count. Illegal motion, says the man. That leaves just 19 seconds left in the first half of play, and here is high football drama. This time it's a rapid switch, a pitch out wide to Dickie Magle for 6 points. A kick gives the Owls a 7-6 lead at the half. Now late in the third quarter, Texas has recovered an Owl fumble. Brewer passes to Sree with a cash in on the break, 26 yards for a touchdown, and the Longhorns lead 13-7. Come along to the middle of the fourth. The Owls begin to move. Grantham works the convoy play to Cossie Johnson. Good blocking, and there's some stylish running by that big fullback. Cossie ambles 26 yards, and the Owls have a first down in Longhorn territory. So what do you do with a guy like that? You call him again, and it's Cossie through the middle for 10 more yards and another first in striking distance. Now the Owls mix them up. This time Dickie Magle's number comes up. It's a good try for 9, but this drive bogged down, and the ball went over, close to the Texas goal. And here's the first of 2 intentional Texas safeties. Texas 13, Rice 9. And after the Owls put on pressure again, the Longhorns again take the safety to gain time and keep possession. And again, it's Tola who takes another intentional safety. Just 1 minute, 44 seconds to go in the game. Rice trails 11-13. So the Longhorns put the ball in play from their own 20 with a free kick after safety. Cossie Johnson takes it way back on his own 21. Now watch Johnson give an all-American touch to the occasion. Here's the fullback's version of how to move that ball in an open field. Cossie plows all the way to the 45, 90 seconds to play. Now here's one for the book. Fence to make a pitch it out to Dan Hart. Watch the action. Dan says, here, Cossie, you take it. Cossie says, Sandy Burke, you have a try. And when it's all over, Rice has 14 yards and a first on the Longhorn 31. Less than a minute to go, and here it comes. Fence to make a backsaw for the long pitch. Dan Hart is there for a great catch, and what a finish to a game that eventually met the Cotton Bowl, 18-13 for Rice. An important win for the Owls and a rugged loss for the Longhorns. 2 weeks later, the Longhorns meet the Baylor Bears in Memorial Stadium at Austin. Delano Womack takes a handoff, shoots a pass to Kelly for 9. First down for Texas on the Baylor 17. Brewer's the man under for the Longhorns. He moves way back to look over the field. Where's Womack, he says. There he is, waiting and ready, and he has it. First down for the Longhorns on the Baylor 2-yard line. And here's a look at Texas workhorse Dougal Cameron. He hits the line, and Texas goes out front, 7-0. Phil Branch added extra point on a mighty big one, as you remember. After the kickoff, the Bears move from their own 23-yard line. Here comes a great run. Jerry Cootie has the handoff. Watch that blocking clear him to the sidelines. The prancing Parsons on his way. This was one of the fine long gain plays of the season. Cootie in his best running form until Spring and Kelly and Womack of Texas finally get to him. He goes out of bounds on the Texas 6. The Bears shift into low gear for power. Allen Jones leaps through the middle and like a salmon going upstream gets 4 before the Longhorns throw out the net and haul him in 2 yards from the goal. Cotton Davidson under for the Bears. Here's the straightaway power of the tee as Dupree goes for the touchdown. Massey blocked the try for point, and Texas still leads by a point. A big point it is, getting bigger. Early in the second quarter, the Bears slash away at the Texas line. Jerry Cootie is the man with the mission on this afternoon. He scrambles, claws, feints, and punches for a total of 30 yards in this series of plays for 11, then 7, and finally 12 yards. And then the Bears switch their attack to the outside. Long gone Dupree takes a pitch out for 8 yards to the Texas 11-yard line. That sets up a first down for the Bears within bombing range. 2 plays later, Dupree gets a good ride on a tidal wave that rolls over the jetties and lands on the Texas beach. Baylor takes a lead in this game, 13-7. Less than a minute left in the first half. Texas on the Baylor 23. Here's a sideline shot of Gilmer Spring as he breaks clear for a pass from Charlie Brewer. He's got it, and Dupree takes him out of bounds on the 2-yard line. A first down with 30 seconds to play. Delano Womack smashes at the left side, and the Longhorns get their extra point to take a 14-13 lead at halftime. In the third period, the Longhorns operate from the Baylor 30. Brewer fakes, moves back for a pass, then goes wide to find his man. He throws to Carlton Massey, and it's good for an 8-yard pickup for the Longhorns down on the Baylor 23. Here's the clincher on a perfect pass play. Charlie Brewer it is to Delano Womack. The Bears also added 7 points later in the game, but the difference was still that big extra point settled the ball game as the Longhorns won 21-20. Now let's take time out. Let's take a look around the stadium. Recognize these superstructures? Of course you do. They're the press boxes. Every stadium has one. Perhaps on cold and rainy days you've envied the folks up there in the press box as privileged characters who stayed warm and dry. And maybe they did. They also stayed busy. Take the sports writers, for example. They go to the stadium long before you do, and they stay quite a while after you've gone home. They're working at their profession of sports reporting in this case a football game to a nation of football fans. And to help them keep the facts in order, there's a sports publicity man in every press box who calls every play. Who carried the ball? Who made that tackle? What was that penalty? His small public address system, reserved only for the ears of the press, keeps the sports writers fully informed. And then by the speedy means of teletype, many of the sports writers file their running stories direct to their home offices. Others file their yarns by telegraph, where the ancient and honored profession of brass pounding is practiced by that vanishing American, the fellow who can still transmit the written word through the Morse code, those dots and dashes that make words and phrases. Here's another popular means of communication, the radio broadcast, the when it happens as it happens report of a football game. This portion of the press box is soundproof, except for the sound of excited voices sending the game in words to millions who are miles away from the scene, or reporting a digest over the field public address system. The eye records and the voice transmits the story of the great ball pastime. Also perched high on the towering levels of the press box are those all-seeing eyes that capture the history of the game, the cameras. Cameras of television that absorb the action of the moment, and the motion picture cameras that record it forever to be reviewed again and again, as in these highlights of the past season. And here, too, are the giant still cameras of the press that stop the fastest play and hold it for an almost microscopic examination on the sports pages of your Sunday morning newspapers. There's another type of spectator in the press box, the man whose sharp eyes and quick analysis of football help guide the progress of the game itself. He is the assistant coach who watches from his crow's nest above the field, and he is in constant communication with his colleagues near the coach's bench. Sometime when you see a substitute run out, he may carry the intelligence of that coach who watches from high in the press box. Another denizen of that lofty perch on the perimeter of the stadium is the man who operates the electrical scoreboard. He manipulates the lights that flash on the scoreboard. But the scoreboard's all-important clock is controlled from the field of play, and here by an off and on switch, the precious 60 minutes of football are bottled up and then released by a simple twist of the timekeeper's wrist. Perhaps the wisest eyes of all the eyes that peer from the press box are those of the visiting scouts, probing not for scores or downs and yardage, but for the pattern of play. And when the game is played, there remain only the vital statistics, the play-by-play, and the facts and figures. Here is the final wrap-up, the printing of the game as it goes for keeps into the record book, followed perhaps by a visit to the most appreciated place in the press box, the lunch counter, where coffee and sandwiches are on the house. Ever wonder what happens in the press box? Well, now you know, so let's watch more football. Owls and the Baylor Bears mingle at Houston. Dickie Magle gives you a preview of things to come with a 13-yard dice to midfield. Here's how the game looked from the sidelines. Fenstermaker moves our way on a keeper, cuts down the sidelines and goes 15 yards before he's shoved out of bounds by Cotton Davidson. That carries the Owls to the Bear 35. Rice now on the Baylor 18, and Gordon Kellogg samples the left side of the menu and orders an 8-yard steak medium rare. That puts the Owls 10 yards away from the goal line. As we drop back for another peek from the field, the Owls decide to go upstairs. Those two Bears try hard to foil Fenstermaker's aim. Magle also has his problems, but he makes the catch. That's a first down for the Owls on the 2. A penalty moves the Owls back 5, but Kellogg makes it up for a score. Fenstermaker's kick builds up a 7-0 lead for Rice. Here's another of the better broken field runs of the season. It's keyed by a beautiful block by Kellogg as he takes out Cootie. That's Dickie Magle with the ball. Still plenty of blockers up front, and when they're all used up, Dickie has a few cards of his own. The play started on the Owl 19, so ring up an 81-yard touchdown run for Magle. The Owls lead 14-0. Early in the second quarter, it is Baylor on the Owl 31, the result of a 30-yard push that started back on the Bears 39. And this pass, Davidson to Wayne Hopkins, carries on for a first down on the Rice 16. Those Bears are really rolling. This time Dupree takes a handoff from Davidson. Leo Rucker slows him down with a body block and checks him over to Kenny Paul for the kill on the Rice 13. 2 plays later, Dupree again takes Davidson's handoff to the inside. Good for 4 more yards to put the Bears down on the Rice 4-yard line with a first down. And here, this exciting story of Cotton Locks Davidson and the 3 Bears. Cootie, Jones, and Dupree, and here's a climax as Jerry drives the ball to Rice's 1-foot line to lay it on the lip of the cup, and from there it's a short putt as Davidson rams over for a touchdown that leaves Baylor trailing 7-14. Later in the second quarter, the Owls also stage a sustained drive downfield. The line carves a big hole for Cossie Johnson, and he ambles for 18 yards before Jerry Cootie nails him at the Rice 47-yard line. Another worm's eye view. This one gives you a fresh angle on that familiar Rice convoy play. Dan Hart has the pitch and gets covered to the Baylor 39 for a first down that keeps this drive in high gear. Here's a good look at the straightaway power generated for and by Cassie Johnson. He's punctured by Jerry Cootie again, but it's first down and a 16-yard gain for Rice's All-American. And now for another demonstration of that combination of the well-timed block and a ball carrier who knows how to take advantage of it. Magel goes all the way as the Owls lead 21-7. Early in the third quarter, the Bears line up on their own 40-yard line as Cotton Davidson calls a pass, but again Magel shows up, intercepts on his own 47-yard line and cuts quickly for the sidelines. Royce Bridges throws a key block. Dickey's in and out of trouble and returns to the Bear 19-yard stripe. And the story of the game would not be complete without another look at Cassie Johnson as he demonstrates both speed and power on this 16-yard burst to the Baylor 2-yard line. On this one, Johnson scores for the Owls. A little later, both teams scored again as Rice moved on to win by the final score of 41-19. On that same day at Fort Worth, the TCU Frogies and the SMU Mustangs get together in their annual brawl. Ronnie Fraley recovers a bouncing backfield fumble and turns it into a pass to Marshall Robinson for a 13-yard gain in the first quarter of play. We're in the second quarter now. Number 49 is Ray McCown at fullback as TCU moves to the attack once again. He pitches out to Clinkscale. Ronnie whirls down the sidelines for 23 yards before the Mustangs finally rally their defenses. They throw up the roadblock and nail Ronnie on their 4-yard line. Clinkscale now in the tailback spot for the Frogies. He makes like a pass, then he takes off behind McCown's block. And that's the first score of the game as TCU leads 6-0. The try for extra point was blocked. Early in the fourth quarter, the Mustangs are driving from their own 25. Dale Moore has a pitch out from Dwayne Nutt. The Mustang fullback picks up 15 yards to move the ball all the way out to the 40-yard line. Dwayne Nutt is once again the man under in the SMU tee, backs up, maneuvers to get clear for a shot, then pulls the trigger, and Ed Burnett scampers into position on the Frog 45, makes a nice catch. He adds 15 more yards to this fruitful operation. A few plays later, the Ponies decide to try the same successful passing combination, but this time it goes incomplete. A fine 74-yard drive has bogged down. Later in the fourth period, the Ponies try to move again from their own 30. But this chapter of the Pony Pack comes to an unhappy ending in the arms of the Frogies' Lone Ranger, little Marshall Robinson on the interception. He's back for 25 yards before Jim Smith drives him out of bounds at the Pony 31, and the Frogs move on from this spot for a touchdown. Clinkscale still the deep man on the highly flexible TCU offense. He carries on behind good blocking for 8 yards to reach the Pony 23-yard line. Then 2 plays later, Clinkscale again having one of his best days of the season. He moves toward us and shows speed for 6 more yards. We're in the last minutes of the game. And this pass is good for a touchdown as the Frogs win 13-0 in the final conference game. Now for the final game of these football highlights. New Year's Day at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and the Rice Owls of the Southwest Conference meet the Alabama Crimson Tide of the Southeastern. Alabama opens with a great show of power and moves for a first quarter touchdown. As we pick up play, Tommy Lewis, the Alabama fullback, roars up the middle for 16 yards. So it's Tommy Lewis. He's the big noise as he rides high, wide, and handsome. The Owls move in from all sides to bring him down on the 4-yard line. And again, it's Tommy Lewis as he punches the middle. He racks up a first touchdown. Point is missed, and it's 6-0 Alabama. But Rice has a ready answer to this problem. On the first play of the second quarter, Dickie Magel takes a handoff on the right side. He's off and running. He builds up speed in a jiffy, and the Tide secondaries have to eat his dust. Magel serves due notice that this is his day. He goes 79 yards for the touchdown. Fence to make a placement is good, and Rice goes out in 7-6. But the boys from Alabama came to play football, and they counterpunch. Oliver has it on a handoff from Starr. Lots of help up front, and the last tackle is checked to Leroy Fenstemaker, who stops this 54-yard run by Oliver 22 yards away from the Rice goal line. That's Starr from Alabama once again. He's back to pass. Nobody open for this shot, but that looks like a lot of daylight around the right side, and Starr goes for it. Magel and Hart close in at the 10-yard line. There's a fumble, and Mac Taylor recovers for Rice as Owls take over on their own 10. A penalty sets the Owls back to their own 5-yard line, and now here comes the play they'll remember a long time. Dickie Magel takes off to the right. Blockers turn the flankers, and that clears Dickie for the outside. Now for the unexpected. From out of nowhere comes Tommy Lewis, and Magel is tipped down. The officials awarded the Owls a touchdown on the unusual misadventure. Magel got credit for a 95-yard run. Dickie was unhurt. He held for the extra point. Fenstemaker made it good, and the Owls had a 14-6 lead at halftime. And then the Kilgore Rangerettes always put on a fine show at half, so let's watch them. now for one more pearl as Magel rounded out his great day. Here's Dickey off on a 34-yard run that accounts for the third Rice touchdown. The Owls went on to score again, and the final score in the Cotton Bowl, 28-6, Rice over Alabama. And that's a look at the highlights of Southwest Conference football last season. Be sure to join us again this year when we'll go to the games with Humboldt.
How it happened was, last